Hey guys, today we show another project I'm working on, and this video is also for Bob, who owns this really nice Memorymoog Plus. So just going to go over it for you, Bob, sure everything's functioning. And for you guys that want to watch, feel free. I always enjoy you guys watching. This unit's actually been dead for about 20 years, from what I gather. And so went through it, did a full restoration. It had a lot of failures. It had some stuff that was actually miswired during the update. This is a early unit. This is actually 985 or 1985, making it the 985th Memorymoog built. So it was actually originally a standard, and it also was before they had the auto tune update corrected, which was a software change as well as some modifications to the common analog board to make things reference digitally instead of analog, so it makes everything more accurate. So it actually had a miswire on the common analog board, so your foot pedal control number 1 probably never worked after that update. Well, I know it didn't work because I had to fix it. I had to go in there and repair the updates that were done incorrectly on it. So I took care of that. Your foot pedal works. And just to kind of show what comes out of these things as well, here's all the components right here out of this unit. So just a pile of parts there. You had a vibration failure. Once I got everything back together, I could actually pick it up like this right here, drop it. I'd lose all the LEDs, and so the LED driver would basically fail from the digital board, I found out. It turned out to be a tracing issue as well as a bad socket. It was actually the socket for the CTC, and you can see here, here's all the bad components outside the stuff that I replaced just as a preventive maintenance. So took care of that. Of course, you can see now it plays great even after the drop test. So it still works fantastic. But I do a lot of flex testing, a lot of vibration testing to make sure these things are going to hold up in shipping, or even just normal use when you have it when you're taking it home. I do a lot of testing to make sure these things hold up, and that's a good portion of what my work is doing vibration testing. And then if it has a failure, I have to go back in there and figure out where the failure is, if it's an interface problem, or if it's a digital board problem, demux issue, common analog board issue, or if it's a voice problem. So there's a lot of troubleshooting that goes on within these units even after restore. So anyways, like I say, this thing got the treatment. It got full restore, all the parts you just saw, 12-hour burn-in. Vibration testing is now fixed, and it plays fantastic. Loaded the factory tape data for you, so that's all loaded. Cleaned the interface really good, cleaned the wood really good, so the wood's all nice and clean. Conditioned it as well, and I'll just give you a walk around here so you can see it. But it looks like a whole different unit than it did when it came in here. And also replaced some of your hardware. Your chassis was all loose. These screws here, you was missing this screw, and had a donor unit I pulled that from. But you can see your serial number 1985, 1985, but it's actually 985 because they started with 1000 serial number. So it's 985, the 985th unit built. Cleaned everything up really good. Like I said, it's got some corrosion. This is a Florida unit, and it was in an ATA case, and of course that tends to sometimes gas out when the foam's deteriorating, and it causes corrosion. So that was another thing I was kind of fighting in this unit, is some of the corrosion. Had to clean up a lot of tracings and a lot of things to make sure they're going to hold up for you. But cleaned up really good. The wood paneling turned out really nice. You can see, I don't know if my lighting's not real great in here, but you can kind of see how that looks there. I'll take you back around here. The end panel here looks really good, as you can see. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to just start by doing the voice count. So I'll show you first that the auto tune works. I'll run auto tune real quick. Takes it a few seconds to run here. And you can see it says 6 tuned. So all 6 voices are tuning up. Now I'm going to go in debug mode. Let me get this thing set up real quick where you can actually hear this oscillator 3. We're going to turn the oscillators down. We'll start with oscillator 1. Open the filter up. Turn off the voice modulation source. And then we got all the oscillators set up. I'm going to go here, C5 enter, C5 centers these two frequency pots, and then we'll go to C4 enter, and then this section where I can do a voice count. So you can actually see as I cycle through the voices, you hear oscillator 1 only right now. So there's oscillator 1 on the square wave, oscillator 1 on the sawtooth wave, and oscillator 1 on the triangular wave. And there's oscillator 1. So we'll turn oscillator 1 down, turn off oscillator 2. Start with square wave as well. Let's make sure it's a 50% duty cycle here. That's a square wave. So there's oscillator 2 square wave, oscillator 2 sawtooth, there's oscillator 2, and then here's oscillator 2 triangular wave. As you can hear. Then we'll go over here, turn oscillator 2 down, we'll turn up oscillator 3, and we'll start with square wave the same way, so we're all equal between them. So here's the square wave of oscillator 3. So there's the square wave, here's the sawtooth. And here's the triangular wave. And there we go. So you can hear all oscillators are working. We'll combine them together here. We'll put them all on sawtooth. And there we go. And we'll go back out of debug mode. And now let me put the camera on a tripod, and I'll just walk you through some of the sounds here and let you hear this thing. Okay, so I got the camera on a tripod here, and I'm just going to go reset preset 1. So you can hear this thing. So this is just preset 1. See how great that sounds? Preset 2, which is one of my favorite presets, is a really strong brass. Now what's fun about this preset, this is also going to show you that your sequencer works. So we're going to CC enter to go into the sequence mode up here, and we'll play the one sequence here. So you can hear how that works. That's a good preset with that loaded data there. And that was just factory demo data that I loaded back in. So that's preset 2. We'll use preset 2 also to show you a few of the functions here. So we'll go to reset mode on the actual voices. That's where you can actually play one voice as you reset a note. So it actually makes it like a mono synth, but you're still in polyphonic mode. So we can go here and how that sounds. Just that that's a little bit of glide with that reset mode. we'll go to cyclic mode, and you can actually hear that all your glide circuits are working, all 6 glide circuits. So I'm just going to play a low note, and you'll hear all your voices cycle down to the key reference to the glide circuits. I'll get them all down here first, I'll go up here. And there's all 6 glide circuits. Also, your mono glide works. We'll go to mono mode. So you hear your mono mode, and you can also hear that glide circuit for the mono mode. There's actually a separate glide circuit for monophonic mode. So you can hear how all that works. And now I'm going to show you that the voices work. We're back in, the filters work. We're back in cyclic mode now. So I'm going to turn down the oscillators. We'll turn the filter up to self-oscillate, put key tracking on. So what I'll say is the references for tuning. Now they are never exactly perfect between each other because they're filters. They never really hold exactly the tuning, but you can hear. So that's just your filters right now you're hearing between voices. We'll modulate the filter. That's just a little demo of your filter there. I'm going to show you that all the contours work. You've already heard them a little bit, but I'll cycle through the voices. Let me get this filter set back up. So here's just your filter. We'll turn up the contour amount. So here's your attacks. Go here and turn off the release. So this is cycling through the voices. So we'll turn the decay down. We'll turn up attack. So you hear your attack. Of course, you can go a really long time with it. It goes way up there in time. And drop out. So there's your attack. Your sustain level works. So we got decay set all the way at 0, so it's just a click. We can bring up the sustain. That's how low the decay goes. Then we've got the release. So 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 we' synthpro. And then of course we got the amount of contour. So that's your filter. That's your filter contour. We'll turn up the oscillators again. So low release. These things are super powerful. Excuse the train outside. This thing's very powerful. But now I'm going to show you the voltage controlled amplifier contour works. This is your contour for your amplifier. So go to where it's just a click. And here's just a click. This is your decay time. Then we've also got the attack. As you can hear. And then of course we got the sustain level. As you turn off the release. This sets how low the decay goes. So we can get those kind of percussive. You can still hear I can hold in a note and it won't go completely out of volume like it does with the sustain all the way lowered. So yes, your sustain, and of course then you've heard your release already, but you got a button that actually turn off release as well. That's what you see me hitting here. We can set up the let me set a decay time up. So without it, because I still got a decay, so if I let off the note, or if I hold in the note longer, it'll follow the decay. So let off a note early, fall sustain. Because I got a pretty long release, that's why you hear that one note bleeding out. See how that works. So that's your loudness contour for all voices. You've also, I'll just go through a few presets here as well. Before I do that, I'll show you that the voice modulation section works. So we can use Oscillator 3 as an LFO source, or we can keep it in an audio frequency range, which you've heard me talk about this quite often. We'll keep an audio frequency right now, and I actually modulate the filter. So we'll close this filter up. So it's just turn the oscillators down. So we'll kind of match the frequency there. I'll bring up Oscillator 3. Change that. We can make this LFO source. Still tracking the keyboard, we can cut off tracking. So we're using it just to modulate the filter right now. We can actually modulate the oscillator, so we'll actually modulate oscillator 1. So you can hear that's oscillator 3 modulating oscillator 1. And that comes in handy too when you want to do some really complex modulations, because that frees up your LFO, and we can actually have it modulate in oscillator 2. So bring up oscillator 2. Close that filter up just a hair, open the envelope on the filter. So once again, that's just oscillator 2 being modulated by oscillator 3. We can also modulate oscillator 2, so turn on oscillator 1. So there's frequency of oscillator 2. We can also modulate the pulse width of oscillator 1. So that's just oscillator 1. I've got a frequency modulation on it as well from the LFO. So that's the way you can actually use oscillator 3 as a combination LFO. So that's pulse width of oscillator 1. Here's pulse width of oscillator 2. So same thing. We've got the pulse width modulation. And of course, you've already heard the filter. Here it is a low frequency oscillator. And of course, they'll all be in different times because they're all different oscillators. So you're actually using different oscillators per voice. So the six voices, the oscillator 3 ball, 6 voices are used. That's why they're all out of phase. So that's the modulation section there. We also got the filter controller, which is really handy. You can do frequency as well. So you can do like you can set your level. Really creative things with this. You also got frequency of oscillator 2. Of course, it'll fall out the contour. Now this one's handy when you use oscillator sync. So go here and go. handy, especially when you use Oscillator Sync. When you turn Oscillator Sync off, you've got that. And same thing here. This is really handy as well. You can use it to control the pulse width. Once you get set up here. It's a really cool way you can get a delay on the oscillator. Handy feature there for some of the architecture of shaping the sound. So that's Oscillator 1. We can do the same thing to Oscillator 2. And once again, the shape of your envelope for your filter, once you control. Now we're doing next playing with the pulse width. So that's really handy. You can also do Oscillator 3 contoured, so you can actually set it where the Oscillator 3 will be used. And it's actually contoured with the envelope, so you can hear it right there. We go to frequency. So what I like to do with this, I like to shut off the filter a little bit. Go to a slow attack. It's a pretty cool way to get a vocal kind of piece out of it. See just how great that works. We'll open that filter back up. So that's it being contoured, the Oscillator 3 amount. Basically what it's doing is controlling this Oscillator 3 amount through the envelope. So a really handy feature there. You can also invert it. So that's the contour. Inverted. Because we combine Oscillator 2 and 1. So that's your voice modulation section, which is pretty cool. And I hadn't really gone over that in real detail with most of you people from my other videos, but just kind of wanted to go over that a little bit more. Really handy here. But anyways, that's kind of the architecture. I'll go through a few presets here. So here's an example of kind of a vocal piece as well. And it's actually using the voice modulation, pulse width modulations. organ sounds. We'll go to 21. That's one of my favorite presets. This is a pads. Real pretty pad. You got some weird stuff too, like this. And this is one using Oscillator 3's LFO source. Simple preset. So this is one I bring up. I'll reset it real quick. So this is one I bring up quite often. It actually has a unconditional contour, which means the contours are going to follow, even when you let off a note, it's going to follow the ADSR. So you've got, so let off a note is actually following the attack. The decay. Cut that off. So let off a note, it's going to fall. That'll follow through it. You've also got to return to 0, which will make it actually reset. But you can hear it resets. It's not as handy with this kind of preset, but you gotta see how that works. Another weird one. So here's a mono preset. That's another unconditional. And you also have a keyboard follow as well, which will shorten the contour as you go up the scale of the keyboard. So I'll turn off unconditional. You go here and make a fast attack. Get this set up. You have the control be longer. Let me go to a different preset. So we'll go here. I'm going to modify this one. So we'll so now we'll go keyboard follow. You have to get shorter. Longer ones down here. Shorter as I go up the keyboard. Really handy feature there as well. All I have to do is I have to put this in reset. Pretty presets. Now I'm just going to go to 0. This is a preset I modified, which you guys, if you've watched my other videos, you've already heard it. But it's a Prophet 5 preset I've recreated on the Memorymoog. So it's got this. It's actually like George Clinton's Atomic Dog is actually where I got the idea to program this one. Let's see. It's a really cool kind of sound. And of course Gary Newman used the Prophet 5 a lot, and this was a preset he would use during, I believe, I want to say the album My Assassin and Dance, that era. It's a really good sounding preset though. And of course we're back to 1. But one other thing I will show you real quick I didn't go over yet is the actual modulation here. So you've heard some of your modulation. I'm going to go to preset 2, make a fast attack. So I know I have modulation off. We'll start with just frequency 1. I'll just go through the functions here, the waveforms, and I'll go through the functions of what you have here. So we have, my camera's about to time out. Let me reset my camera real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go over the waveforms here. So we have oscillator 1. So you got your wheel, and you've also got a modulation amount control here, which is very nice because you can save the programming amount. So if you have a preset you want to build with a certain amount of modulation, you don't have to remember to always engage your modulation wheel. You can engage it here, and it'll actually save the data. So you can say I'm going to put just a little bit of modulation there, and I can still use the wheel. It's going to be a set amount that can be saved. So there's triangle wave, sawtooth, reverse sawtooth, sample and hold, square wave, and then sample and hold. So that's modulation of oscillator 1, oscillator 2. So you can hear it, and then we also got frequency 3. So let me turn up oscillator 3. Hear that. And then we've also got pulse width of oscillator 1, so we'll go back to oscillator 1 here. So there's oscillator 1 with frequency modulation. I'm sorry, pulse width modulation. And then we've also got oscillator 2 with pulse width modulation. And then we got oscillator 3 with modulation, pulse width modulation. Let me actually. As you can hear. And then we got filter modulation. So, and of course your arpeggiator works as well. So we'll go. Your arpeggiator, your hold works as well. That's what you heard. I'll play a chord. Very powerful. But that allows you to do like a power chord kind of thing. But anyways, Bob, I just want to take a minute here and go over your unit to show you that everything's functioning. And for you guys that watch my videos, appreciate you guys watching as always. Always a pleasure to read the comments. But anyways, thanks again, Bob, and there'll be more here to come very soon, guys. Take care.